There are very few times when I played a video game and was truly immersed and enthralled. Sometimes it comes down to really deep and rewarding gameplay loops, other times it comes down to the unique and captivating character development, especially in visual novels, and sometimes it comes down to music so good it makes even the most monotonous of grinding enjoyable. Other times though, it is a result of a genuinely unique and fascinating blend, and that's a spot where Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean, referred to going forward as simply Baten Kaitos, falls into. Like many people, I became a fan of Monolith Soft through the Xenoblade Chronicles series. That saga is by far their most well-known franchise. However, like a lot of developers whom I like, and in typical Milla's gaming fashion, I want to check out as much of their back catalogue as possible. I really did not know what I was in for when starting this game, other than it's a hidden gem, many RPG fans dig it, and it has a good battle system, although you might not like it. So with the recent HD remaster of the series on Nintendo Switch, I took this opportunity to finally check out another title in Monolith Soft's back catalogue. It's time to talk about Baten Kaitos. Before touching on Baten Kaitos itself, I want to discuss the context surrounding the Baten Kaitos series' very existence, as frankly, the odds were always stacked in favour of this series becoming a forgotten gem. Baten Kaitos was developed partly to prove to the world that Monolith Soft are capable of more than just the Xeno games. The games were developed for the Nintendo GameCube because the console lacked a JRPG library. This platform choice, among many other factors, is why the original GameCube releases sold poorly despite critical acclaim, effectively becoming hidden gems. This led to Bandai Namco losing confidence in the series, cancelling the then in development Baten Kaitos III, effectively curtailing the series for the foreseeable future. So the existence of this HD remaster after all these years is a huge deal. It shows how Monolith Soft titles have become more popular over the years, thus leading to calls for HD remasters of their back catalogue. The most popular request of these is a remaster for the Xenosaga series, which is currently exclusive to the PlayStation 2. Well, if you don't count that Japan exclusive DS adaptation, which actually looks pretty cool. Another aspect regarding Baten Kaitos is that although it is most associated with Monolith Soft, this title was a collaboration with another developer, Tri-Crescendo. Tri-Crescendo is known for developing Eternal Sonata, as well as assisting with numerous other titles from the likes of Star Ocean 3, Fragile Dreams, Tales of Arise, and even some non-RPGs like Gran Turismo 7 and Smash Bros. Ultimate. Baten Kaitos was conceived between Yasuyuki Hone of Monolith and Hiroya Hatsushiba of Tri-Crescendo, who are two veterans, one from each studio. Both veterans had a similar idea conveniently at the same time, hence Bandai Namco suggested they collaborate. At the time, Baten Kaitos was the first game Tri-Crescendo ever developed, as before Baten Kaitos all their work had been on sound design for Tri-Ace titles, such as the first Valkyrie profile title. Nakaba Higurashi is the series illustrator. She designed and illustrated the many character portraits throughout Baten Kaitos. She's also known as the character designer for the Rare Blade Nim from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I really like her artwork. The bright and cheerful colour palette she uses complements the character and world of Baten Kaitos very well. As for the music, Motoi Sakuraba, a well-known composer in the world of JRPGs, so needs no introduction, composed the soundtrack for Baten Kaitos, and personally I think Baten Kaitos is among his best work. The battle themes are catchy and memorable, such as the theme that players hear when you fight Giacomo. The biggest highlight is the overworld themes. They are amazing and express the world's diversity on top of the world map itself. I'm so glad Bandai Namco re-released the Baten Kaitos soundtrack on modern streaming services, because even if you don't like the game, it's worth listening to the music outside of the game itself. Speaking of the game itself, it's time to discuss the story. Right from the get-go, Baten Kaitos has an intriguing premise. The story is set in a world above the clouds. Thousands of years before the events of Baten Kaitos, a war between the gods devastated the earth, meaning these sky islands are the last livable places in the world. Additionally, humanity developed various technologies to help them in their daily lives, such as magnets, which allow you to seal the essence of an object inside a card, which you use to fight battles and complete side quests. In particular, the ocean that previously existed at the very bottom of this world is lost to history. The main protagonist is Callus, who is out on a quest to avenge his brother and grandfather by defeating Giacomo, a senior figure in the evil Alphard Empire. After waking up on a bed in a place called Celebrite Village, Callus returns to Moongrill Forest, the place he was rescued from. On the way, he meets Zelha, a well-meaning but seemingly naive traveller, and saves her from a dragon. They both journey through the forest together, accidentally releasing one of the 5 End Magnus in the process, which almost immediately falls into the hands of the evil Empire. This is bad because the 5 End Magnus, when all found and used together, combine to release an evil god, Malpersio. With the state of the world now in peril, Callas and Zelha must go out to stop the Empire's plans from coming to fruition. Of course, given this is an RPG, various new characters will be introduced throughout your adventure. Many of them will even end up joining your party. Some of the most noteworthy characters include Gibari, a fisherman known for rebelling against the social norms of his hometown, Lyud, a seriously minded ambassador to the Empire, Savina, a skilled hunter of few words, as well as Mizuti, an androgynous being who's very skilled at magic. I really love the diverse range of characters in this game, as there are very few JRPG tropes present, which is a massive contrast to a lot of the high school era character dramas that are popular in the genre nowadays. The character backstories are all interesting and weave into the overarching lore nicely. There's a diverse range of backgrounds and cultures, meaning those comparatively tiny islands above the clouds are full of the life you see on vast, more traditional open world maps such as in Dragon Quest. As to where the story goes from here, I won't be spoiling it because this is a game you need to go into without knowing anything beforehand. There are many unexpected plot twists, and I love how there is an element of foreshadowing towards events that are explained later on, and even when you find out these revelations, you will see early events in a whole new light, even little things you previously overlooked. And this was despite me accidentally stumbling across plot spoilers while finding gameplay footage of Baten Kaitos for a previous video. Also, without going into any details whatsoever, the ending was truly phenomenal, and it genuinely blew me away, with all major plot points being tied up in a very satisfying way. It was amazing. The story and world largely came from the Monolith Soft portion of the development team. Coming from the perspective of someone mostly familiar with the Xenoblade series from Monolith, I clearly see elements of Baten Kaitos storytelling that appear in those later titles. It felt familiar and different, like I was seeing a more self-contained style of the storytelling that I'd later see in the Xenoblade trilogy. Bear in mind that Xenosaga was also an ongoing project at the time that would be cut short soon after Baten Kaitos' release, going down from 5 games to 3. So it's interesting to see the same storytelling philosophy from the Xenoblade series in a completely unrelated title by a different team from the same period. The most notable character outside of the core cast and antagonist is the role of the Guardian Spirit, aka you, the player. This is one of the most unique aspects of Baten Kaitos. The Guardian Spirit doesn't have an avatar, but plays a critical role in the story. At the start, both Callas and Zelha can hear you communicate with them, but over time more people will too. You can select responses to characters who talk to you like in a visual novel, even though it's an illusion of choice, as there is only one ending, but it isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's fantastic. Bringing players into the game's story via a Guardian Spirit is a really unique way to break the fourth wall, so to speak, immerse them into the world of Baten Kaitos. It can be a bit jarring seeing characters face the player and ask what they think, but there really is nothing like that in games. The Guardian Spirit also has amnesia, which is a really interesting and original way of using the trope. If you're playing Baten Kaitos for the first time, you genuinely have no idea about any of the events within the game. This includes those that cause the spirit to lose its memory, so it actually makes a lot of sense. That's the kind of storytelling that can only be told within a video game. It's so unique and is a really cool way of bringing players into the world in a major way that's integral to the story. Another aspect of storytelling that can only be told within a video game is its visuals, which I'll move on to now. I'm going to start this section with a hot take. The world of Baten Kaitos looks even better than that of Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah, I'm 100% serious. There's something about this charming art style that looks fully hand-drawn akin to a Vanillaware game, the twilights of an airside town, literal seas of clouds, tall waterfalls, and even a village made of sweets are some of the many highlights. This game is a huge treat for the eyes, and it knows it. This is another reason why this game genuinely blew me away. Almost every new area gave me a sense of magic that I rarely get playing video games nowadays. And outside of all the backgrounds and maps, the character models themselves are all 3D and are well rendered. The 2D world was clearly drawn to accommodate character models of all sizes doing things, meaning they blend in seamlessly. Battles also take place on a fully 3D rendered map, which also helps bring the stages to life, allowing players to visualise both a 2D environment and a 3D render, the best of both worlds. The HD remaster makes this beautiful world look even better. Colours look even more vibrant, further aiding immersion. I can only imagine how they look on a Switch OLED. even though I never played the original, I can only imagine how captivating this world was to those who played it back on the GameCube. This also shows the importance of good art direction, because this game has aged extremely well. As for other aspects of this remaster, I will return to this later in the video. Touching on the battle system now, thanks to the Magnus-based gamification of cards, you of course fight with cards. At the start of each battle, random cards will be drawn from the deck of each party member. There are offensive cards like weapons and spells, defensive cards like armor, healing items, and so much more. Each character has their own deck. As you progress through the game, you further unlock more powerful cards with which you can then add to each character's decks. These also include final move cards, ascending in Roman numerals from 1 right the way to X, and the further along they are, the more powerful they are. You can get these cards in multiple ways. The most common ways are via chests in dungeons as well as item drops in battle. You can also find them by interacting with random items worldwide, such as in people's houses. Back to battles, you get dealt random cards at the start of each battle, much like poker. Players must use whatever is available in their hand as effectively as possible for many situations. These include attacking your enemies, using your cards to increase damage dealt, or healing your allies. It's often been compared to poker. If you run out of cards, you must pass one turn shuffling your deck. The same also applies to your enemies. As you level up and upgrade your character's class, you can increase the combo length to 8 for certain characters. There are definitely some issues with the card system. For a start, it should not be possible to accidentally heal your enemies, which is something I've done many times. Secondly, it also should be possible to escape from every battle. You should not be required to have the escape card in your hand to be able to flee. You also cannot revive your party members in battle. There are no cards you can use for this purpose, they only exist when walking on the field. So if you're fighting a boss and one of you gets wiped out, you have no choice but to keep going with your remaining party members, or let the boss wipe you all out so you can try again. It's also way too random at times. Sometimes you'll have a great balance of offensive, defensive and healing cards, and other times you'll have too many of one kind of item that makes you easy pickings for enemies as you can't defend yourself. There's no ability to deal new cards, which would have made things a lot easier. I understand why some people dislike this card battle system and dropped Baten Kaitos all those years ago. I do know Origins does fix some elements of the card battle system. I don't really know much about it as I've not played Origins at the time of this video. Another flaw that's worth mentioning is the level up system. All your experience is built up and you have to go out of your way to a church to redeem all your experience in bulk to level up, and on occasion level up your class as well. This church can be accessed from any blue save point, so it's easy to access, but it's also easy to forget that you have to do this. As the church itself is nice to visit, as the rest of the in-game world, I didn't mind it too much, but I wish I didn't have to go there in the first place to level up and it couldn't just be done after each battle. Also, this is more of a me thing, but I found it quite overwhelming to organise my card decks for each character. There's just so much on the screen at once because there's no setting to hide card types from view. The filters place all cards of the type you want at the top or bottom, using the ascending or descending functions, but you still have to sort through it all, which I found really overwhelming and hard to deal with. But despite all the flaws outlined above, the card battle system did click with me. Once you get used to it, it's very easy to get engrossed in its unique risk-reward poker-esque strategy. It's fun to experiment and plan strategies to defeat the various enemies. I do like this battle system as the foundation itself is surprisingly addicting, and I'm hopeful that the battle system is indeed better in Origins. Going back to what I said about the context earlier, I think it's worth discussing the remaster's development history. The remaster was handled by a developer named Logical Beat, a developer that a lot of people don't know about, so I'm gonna touch on them now. Logical Beat is the freelance company of Yoshiki Dome, a Japanese gaming industry veteran. He worked on many games at Konami, then later Bandai Namco, before going freelance in 2014. So yeah, this guy has got a lot of experience. Logical Beat co-developed a bunch of games from the likes of I Am Setsuna, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Tiny Metal, as well as the incredible masterpiece that is Babylon's Fall. Additionally, Monolith Soft veterans, including Yasuyuki Hone, supervised the project, ensuring the remaster lived up to the standards that fans expect. As for the publishing duties, that fell to Bandai Namco. Due to historical precedent, Bandai Namco does not have faith this release will sell. Aside from the initial reveal in the Nintendo Direct, Bandai Namco did not market the game at all, nor send codes to any press or content creators. That said, Bandai Namco's European branch did have enough faith to give us European folk a physical release. Considering we never got Baten Kaitos Origins back in the day, this was a nice little compromise. This lack of faith does also extend to some decisions taken in the remaster, a few of which did cause some controversy. The most notable is that Bandai Namco chose to only include the Japanese voice acting, and disclosed this prior to release. They did this for two reasons. The first reason is that Bandai Namco made some very minor changes to the localization to bring it up to modern standards. In other words, things you wouldn't notice unless there was a major discrepancy between the English voice acting and the text. The second reason, not publicly stated, is that the English voice track, from what I've heard, has questionable quality but has its charm that fans like. The real issue that not having English voices as an option does is that it's an accessibility issue for those who need English dubs to play games. Bandai Namco should have re-recorded the English dub. That said, a fan mod to restore the original English dub is out there for those interested. Unlike many niche RPGs, Baten Kaitos I has official French, Spanish, German and Italian translations as well as in English, which doesn't extend to Origins, which is somewhat understandable considering Origins was previously only localized for North America. However, Bandai Namco should have commissioned official translations of Origins into these languages for its first official European release. Elsewhere, however, accessibility does fare better. A core aspect of this remaster is the new quality of life features, such as turning off encounters, defeating enemies in one hit, a simplified result screen, autosave, New Game Plus or New Game Minus, as well as the ability to play portably on the Nintendo Switch in handheld mode. One thing I will say is I think these features should be expanded even further, such as adding a 150% mode. The 200% mode sometimes goes by so fast it becomes impossible to choose the cards in battle in time before the turn ends. This can make the difference between winning and losing a tricky boss fight. Additionally, the 300% mode is quite fast and it's great for grinding and going back and forth between areas really quickly, but it can also be really overwhelming and makes controlling the player character quite difficult. That said, these features are overall quite positive. Without them, I would likely have put these remasters onto the backlog. Being able to skip tricky boss fights, and there are some difficult boss fights later in the game where the difficulty spikes, makes this game so much more playable. There are two particular boss battles early on in the second half. Think about early in Disc 2 from the GameCube original, that are noteworthy for their difficulty spike. While I understand the symbolic importance of the added difficulty for plot purposes, I'm really not a fan of difficulty spikes like this. So being able to skip these fights with a one-hit kill, which while somewhat anticlimactic, greatly helped me proceed with the story. I doubt I would have finished the game by now if I couldn't skip these two fights. I would have gotten too exhausted to keep going and have had to step away from the game altogether. And frankly, I'm not wasting my time or mental energy on boss fights that are a bit too brutally hard for their own good, especially when the rest of the game is, in comparison, a cakewalk. Plus this retrospective would take literally forever to finish. So speaking of finishing out the retrospective, it's time to do so now. Baten Kaitos is one of those rare games that's worth playing for the story and world alone. It captures a sense of magic you can only get through video games. It's a valuable time capsule, not just for the Nintendo GameCube, but also for Monolith Soft and tri-crescendo alike, bringing amazing storytelling and world building akin to the Xeno series without the heavy time commitment of that franchise. The accessibility features within the remastered remakes mean even if the gameplay doesn't click with you, well, even if it does, you'll be able to persist in saving the world from the wrath of Malpercio in a way that suits you, even if that means skipping all the battles, so you kill every enemy in one hit. If I had been forced to keep pushing myself to get through these boss fights, much of the initial magic, those mesmerising feeling I had in the opening hours would have faded long before I reached the credits. And that to me is the most important thing. That feeling of constant amazement, that feeling of being blown away at all these unexpected plot twists over and over again. That is something truly special and is what all creators must strive to achieve in their works. You only get one chance at playing the best possible hand, and Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings and The Lost Ocean is a 5 of a kind. Hello, and thank you for getting to the end of another retrospective video. I had a ton of fun with this game, and I hope the video has done it justice. At the time of editing this video, I'm closing in on 420 subscribers. Nice. So if anybody fancies joining the never-ending party here at Milla's Game Room, please do subscribe. Anyway, I do plan to play Baten Kaitos Origins at some point soon. I don't know when, but I hope to do so in the next 12 months. Let me know if a video on that is something you'd be interested in. Also, what do you think about Baten Kaitos? Have you played it? Also, let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, etc. And share the video around if you liked it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.